the early 17th century, Baroque art emerged in Rome, Italy, and remained a popular style for more than a century. Baroque art was a dramatic and opulent style that was used in a variety of fields, including architecture, music, paintings, and sculpture. The style took on diverse forms in different European countries depending on their religious and political landscapes.
Human expressions in the form of art present an unusual variety in the Baroque period, essentially in light of the fact that flows of naturalism and classicism coincided and mixed with the ordinary Baroque style. In order to depict an emotional image that appeals to the senses, most of the time in dramatic ways, underlies its manifestations. Some portion of the characteristics most often connected to Baroque are grandeur, sensuous, richness, drama, dynamism, tension, emotional exuberance, and an inclination to obscure differentiations between various arts.
Furthermore, Baroque paintings were recognized through the use of vivid colors and broad brushstrokes to convey motion and emotional intensity. Paintings in this movement emphasize openness and light as seen in architectural styles such as religious institutions with increasingly broad areas within the middle of the building, as well as cupolas that allow more light into the structure.
Baroque art was developed as a response to the Protestant Reformation's growth, a religious movement that arose in the aftermath of a significant revolt by many Christians who protested against Catholic practices and beliefs. As a result of this, the church began to use Baroque art in an attempt to reform their centuries-old church. The church began commissioning painters to create dramatic and vivid depictions of biblical events, miracles, and saints. These commissions marked the beginning of the age of Baroque painting, which was primarily a Catholic counter-Reformation tool. That is why it was initially opposed in Protestant countries, but was later adopted as a totally secular art form expanding throughout Protestant Europe and becoming devoid of religious or political connotations.
The fall of the Baroque period. After the massive popularity of the Baroque movement, its decline started around 1750 when a new art style called the Baroque movement that originated in France has started to captivate the mass of Europe. As Europeans started to compare the two movements, according to Sabe, Europeans are more captivated in Baroque art style since it's more sincere than the Baroque movement. As time goes by, France has started to develop and popularize the Baroque movement because it didn't follow the strict rules that Baroque movement has.
According to Seferl, as part of the campaign of the Counter-Reformation against the ban of using religious images to worship, the Baroque style emerged as a method of incorporating the use of religious subjects in visual arts and architecture as a new way of reinstating the importance of the Catholic Church in the public eye. The cultural significance of the Baroque style is to restore the Catholic Church as one of the art patrons and use such influence to counteract the effect of the Protestant Reformation. The leaders of the movement believe that the Baroque style has a moral purpose and demands for a new style of art that is simple yet dramatic, depicts reality, and delivers a distinct narrative. They believe that art must easily be recognized, understood, and deeply felt by the public, which stimulates piety and fosters an inspirational sense of the Catholic Church.
A culture is a change in the way a number of different disciplines approach their work. This embodies all art form, the science and philosophy. Historically different nations of region of the world have gone through their own independent sequence of the movement in culture. Baroque emphasized power and authority characterized by intricate detail and without the disturbing angst of mannerism. Initially exaggerated classicism to promote and glorify the church and the state, occupies with notion of infinity.
The Three Graces is a statue by Antonio depicting Zeus' three daughters, Euphrosyne, Algeia, and Thalia. This masterwork, carved from white marble, exemplifies Canova's ability to shape marble to showcase the graces of skin. Next is architect Baroque from Switzerland, considered to be a key figure in the development of the Baroque architectural style, which combine ovals and triangles to portray movement while the surfaces are obviously static. Next is architect Albrecht of Wallenstein, one of the richest and most influential Czech noblemen at the period. His goal was to construct a castle that would rival Prague Castle, the Czech king's home at the time in terms of scale and splendor.
Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio was an Italian radical artist whose paintings were largely inspired by his surroundings, where frequently combined ordinary life with religious themes. Death of the Virgin, which dates from 1606, is one of his famous artworks. Next is the Martyrdom of Saint Cecilia. This painting by artist Orazio Rinaldi presents the theatrical nature of the scene as well as the skilled orchestration of the cone of light that surrounds the three figures, emphasize both the expressive power of the executioner and the dynamic movement of the angel. Next, Italian sculptor and architect Gian Lorenzo Bernini pioneered the Baroque method of sculpture centered on emotional impressionism. One of his notable works is the Apollo and Daphne, where he depicted the mythological drama between Apollo, who is the god of music and poetry, and a nymph which is Daphne.
Artemisia Gentileschi was a Baroque period painter known for such works as Madonna and Child, Susanna and the Elders, and Judith slaying Holofernes. Judith slaying Holofernes is based on the Old Testament account told in Deuterocanonical Book of Judith, which tells of the Israelite Judith assassinating the Assyrian general Holofernes. It was a popular fable about women triumphing over authoritarian males, and it was frequently depicted by Italian Baroque artists. How can we forget the great Baroque master? One of the most influential figures from this era is Flemish Baroque painter Peter Paul Rubens. Rubens established himself as a prominent court painter for the Spanish Habsburgs, developing an international reputation as an artist and diplomat. His artwork, The Garden of Love, was originally referred to as the Garden Party, and both names of the paintings directly refer to what is depicted. It shows people who are extremely well dressed in an idyllic garden while they are having a picnic. The setting is typical of Baroque art as it portrays both exaggerated drama and grandeur.